Noise. A Flaw in Human Judgment book by Cass R. Sunstein, Daniel Kahneman, and Olivier Sibony. Noise. A Flaw in Human Judgment is a book written by Cass R. Sunstein, Daniel Kahneman, and Olivier Sibony, published in 2021. The book explores the concept of noise, which refers to variability in human judgment that cannot be explained by factors such as ignorance or incompetence. The authors argue that noise is a significant flaw in human judgment that can have significant consequences, including economic inefficiency, social injustice, and human suffering. They suggest that reducing noise in decision-making processes can improve the accuracy and fairness of decisions and ultimately lead to better outcomes for individuals and society as a whole. The book draws on research from various fields, including psychology, economics, and law, to demonstrate the prevalence and impact of noise in different settings, such as medical diagnosis, hiring decisions, and criminal sentencing. It also provides practical guidance for individuals and organizations to reduce noise, such as by standardizing decision-making processes and using algorithms to eliminate subjective judgment. Here are some key ideas from the book Noise. A Flaw in Human Judgment that can be applied in real life. 1. Recognize the presence of noise. The first step in reducing noise is to recognize that it exists. People tend to underestimate the variability in their own judgments and assume that they are more consistent than they actually are. By acknowledging the presence of noise, individuals and organizations can start to take steps to reduce it. In the book, the authors introduce the concept of noise and explain why it is important to recognize its presence in decision-making processes. They argue that noise is a significant flaw in human judgment that can have serious consequences, including economic inefficiency, social injustice, and human suffering. However, because noise is often difficult to detect, it often goes unnoticed and unaddressed. The authors begin by defining noise as unexplained variability in judgments that should be identical. They note that noise is distinct from bias, which refers to consistent deviations from the truth, and that it can occur even when individuals are well-informed and motivated to make accurate judgments. They also point out that noise can arise in any context where judgments are made, from medical diagnosis to financial forecasting. One of the reasons why noise is often overlooked is that people tend to underestimate the variability in their own judgments. The authors cite studies showing that people consistently rate their own judgments as more consistent than they actually are. This can lead to overconfidence and a failure to recognize the need to reduce noise. To illustrate the impact of noise, the authors provide several examples, including medical diagnosis, hiring decisions, and criminal sentencing. In each case, they show how noise can lead to inaccurate and unfair outcomes. For example, in one study of radiologists, the authors found that there was significant variability in their interpretations of the same X-rays, even when the images were shown side by side. This variability can lead to false positives and false negatives, with serious consequences for patients. The authors argue that recognizing the presence of noise is the first step in reducing it. They suggest that individuals and organizations need to be more aware of the potential for noise in their decision-making processes and be willing to take steps to address it. They also note that reducing noise can lead to significant benefits, including improved accuracy, increased efficiency, and greater fairness. In conclusion, the authors emphasize the importance of recognizing the presence of noise in decision-making processes. They argue that doing so is essential for reducing its impact and improving outcomes for individuals and society as a whole. By acknowledging the existence of noise and taking steps to reduce it, individuals and organizations can make better decisions and achieve better outcomes. 2. Use standardization and calibration. They argue that these techniques can help to reduce the impact of subjective judgments on decision-making and lead to more consistent and accurate outcomes. The authors begin by defining standardization as the use of clear and consistent criteria for making judgments. They note that standardization can help to eliminate the influence of irrelevant factors and reduce the impact of individual biases. They also point out that standardization can take many forms, including checklists, guidelines, and algorithms. The authors then turn to calibration, which they define as the adjustment of judgments to be more accurate. They note that even when using standard criteria, there may be variability in individual judgments due to differences in interpretation or application. Calibration can help to reduce this variability by adjusting judgments to be more consistent with the truth. To illustrate the benefits of standardization and calibration, the authors provide several examples. In one study, they showed how using a standardized form for evaluating job candidates led to more accurate and reliable hiring decisions. In another study, they demonstrated how calibration can help to reduce variability in medical diagnosis by providing feedback to doctors on the accuracy of their previous judgments. The authors also note that standardization and calibration can be used together to reduce noise. By using standard criteria and then calibrating judgments to be more accurate, individuals and organizations can achieve greater consistency and reduce the impact of individual biases. However, the authors also acknowledge that there are limits to the effectiveness of standardization and calibration. They note that there may be situations where standard criteria do not exist or where individual judgments are necessary. They also point out that there may be trade-offs between consistency and accuracy, and that it is important to balance these factors in decision-making. In conclusion, the authors argue that standardization and calibration are powerful strategies for reducing noise in decision-making. They suggest that individuals and organizations should consider using these techniques where appropriate and continually monitor their effectiveness. By reducing noise, they can achieve more accurate, efficient, and fair outcomes. 3. Automate decision-making. In some cases, using algorithms or other automated decision-making tools can help reduce noise by eliminating subjective judgment. However, it's important to ensure that these tools are designed and tested to avoid bias and discrimination. The authors begin by defining automation as the use of algorithms or artificial intelligence to make decisions. They note that automation can be applied in many contexts, from medical diagnosis to financial forecasting. They also point out that automation can take many forms, including simple decision rules and complex machine learning algorithms. The authors then turn to the benefits of automation. They argue that automating decision-making can help to eliminate the impact of individual biases, reduce variability, and improve accuracy and efficiency. They provide several examples to illustrate these benefits, including the use of algorithms to predict recidivism in criminal sentencing and to diagnose medical conditions. However, the authors also acknowledge that there are potential downsides to automation. They note that algorithms can be biased if they are trained on biased data, and that they may not be able to account for all relevant factors in decision-making. They also point out that automation can lead to a loss of human judgment and accountability, which can be problematic in some contexts. To address these concerns, the authors suggest several strategies for ensuring that automated decision-making is both accurate and fair. They recommend that algorithms be regularly audited for bias and transparency, and that they be designed to account for multiple perspectives and outcomes. They also suggest that humans be involved in the decision-making process to provide oversight and accountability. In conclusion, the authors argue that automation has the potential to reduce noise in decision-making and improve accuracy and efficiency. However, they also caution that there are potential downsides to automation, including bias and a loss of human judgment and accountability. They suggest that individuals and organizations carefully consider the benefits and drawbacks of automation in their decision-making processes and take steps to ensure that automated decisions are accurate and fair. 4. Encourage diversity of perspectives. Bringing together individuals with diverse backgrounds and perspectives can help reduce noise by balancing out individual biases and increasing the overall accuracy of judgments. The authors begin by defining diversity of perspectives as the inclusion of individuals with different backgrounds, experiences, and viewpoints in decision-making. They note that diversity can take many forms, including diversity of race, gender, age, and expertise. They also point out that diversity can be beneficial in many contexts, from scientific research to business strategy. The authors then turn to the benefits of diversity. They argue that diverse perspectives can help to identify blind spots, challenge assumptions, and improve the accuracy and fairness of decisions. They provide several examples to illustrate these benefits, including the use of diverse juries in criminal trials and the benefits of diversity in scientific research. However, the authors also acknowledge that there can be challenges to implementing diversity in decision-making. They note that there may be resistance to change and a lack of understanding about the benefits of diversity. They also point out that there may be challenges in ensuring that diverse perspectives are given equal consideration and that there is not simply a token representative from a particular group. To address these challenges, the authors suggest several strategies for encouraging diversity of perspectives in decision-making. They recommend that organizations actively seek out and include diverse perspectives in decision-making, provide training on unconscious bias, and establish clear guidelines for how decisions are made. In conclusion, the authors argue that encouraging diversity of perspectives is a powerful strategy for reducing noise in decision-making. They suggest that organizations should strive to include individuals with different backgrounds, experiences, and viewpoints in decision-making processes, and take steps to ensure that diverse perspectives are given equal consideration. By doing so, they can achieve more accurate, efficient, and fair outcomes. 5. Continuously monitor and improve decision-making processes. Even after implementing strategies to reduce noise, it's important to monitor decision-making processes and make adjustments as necessary. This can help ensure that decisions remain accurate and fair over time. The authors begin by defining continuous monitoring and improvement as a process of regularly assessing decision-making processes and identifying opportunities for improvement. They note that this process can take many forms, from regular audits to ongoing data collection and analysis. They also point out that continuous monitoring and improvement can be beneficial in many contexts, from healthcare to financial services. The authors then turn to the benefits of continuous monitoring and improvement. They argue that this process can help to identify sources of noise in decision-making, such as inconsistent application of criteria or biased assumptions. They also suggest that it can lead to more efficient and effective decision-making by identifying areas for improvement and streamlining processes. However, the authors also acknowledge that there can be challenges to implementing continuous monitoring and improvement. They note that there may be resistance to change and a lack of resources or expertise to conduct regular assessments. They also point out that it can be difficult to identify and measure sources of noise, particularly in complex decision-making processes. To address these challenges, the authors suggest several strategies for continuously monitoring and improving decision-making processes. They recommend that organizations establish clear criteria for decision-making and regularly assess how well they are being applied. They also suggest that organizations collect and analyze data on decision-making outcomes and use this information to identify areas for improvement. In conclusion, the authors argue that continuously monitoring and improving decision-making processes is essential for reducing noise and improving accuracy and fairness. They suggest that organizations should establish clear criteria for decision-making, collect and analyze data on decision-making outcomes, and regularly assess and refine their decision-making processes. By doing so, they can achieve more accurate, efficient, and fair outcomes. By applying these ideas in real life, individuals and organizations can work to reduce the impact of noise on their decision-making and improve outcomes for themselves and others. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed the content and found it valuable. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. We appreciate your support and look forward to bringing you more great videos in the future. See you in the next one.